2 Samuel 1. After the death of Saul, David returned from defeating the Amalekites and stayed in Judea 2 days. On the third day, a man arrived from Saul's camp, with his clothes torn with the dust on his head. When he came to David, he fell to the ground to pay him honor. "Where have you come from?" David asked him. He answered, "I have escaped from the Israelites' camp." "What happened?" David asked. "Tell me." He said, "The men fled from the battle. Many of them fell and died, and Saul and his sons Jonathan are dead." Then David said to the young man who brought him the report, "How do you know that Saul and his sons Jonathan are dead?" I happen to be on Mount Gilboa," the young man said, "and there was Saul leaning on his spear, with the carrots and riders almost upon him, when he turned around and saw me. He called out to me, and I said, 'What can I do?' He asked me, 'Who are you?' 'An Amalekite,' I answered, and he said to me, 'Stand over me and kill me. I am on the thrones of death, and I am still alive.' So I stood over him and killed him, because I knew that after he had fallen he could not survive. And I took the crown that was on his head and the band on his arm, and have brought them here to my Lord." Then David and all the men with him took hold of their clothes and tore them. They mourned and wept and fasted till evening for Saul and his son Jonathan, and for the army of the Lord and the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. David said to the young man who brought him the report, "Where are you from?" "I am the son of an alien, an Amalekite," he answered. David asked him, "Why were you not afraid to lift your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" Then David called one of his men and said, "Go strike him down." So he struck him down, and he died. For David had said to him, "Your blood be on your head. Your own mouth testified against you when you said, 'I killed the Lord's anointed.'" David took up his lament concerning Saul and his son Jonathan, and ordered that the men of Judah be taught this lament of the vow. It is written in the book of Joshua. "Your glory, O Israel, lies slain on your height. How the Almighty hath fallen, and told it not in Gath. Proclaim it not in the streets of Bashruk, lest the daughters of the Philistines be glad, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised rejoice. O mountains of Gilboa, may you have neither dew nor rain, nor beards that yield offerings of grain. For there the shield of the Almighty was defiled. The shed of Saul no longer rubbed with oil, from the blood of the slain, from the blush of the Almighty. The bow of the Jonathan did not turn back, the sword of the Saul did not return unsatisfied. Saul and Jonathan, in life they were loved and gracious, and in death they were not parted. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. O daughter of Israel, weep for Saul, who clothed you in scarlet, and finally who adored your garments with ornaments of gold. How the mighty have fallen in battle! Jonathan lies slain on your height. I grieve for you, Jonathan, my brother. You are very dear to me. Your love for me was wonderful, more wonderful than that of woman. How the Almighty have fallen! The weapons of war has perished. 2. In the course of time, David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I go up to one of the towns of Judah?" he asked. The Lord said, "Go up." David asked, "Where should I go?" "The Horn," the Lord answered. So David went up there with his 2 wives, Anbiah of Jerusalem and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. David also took the men who were with him, each with his family, and they settled in Hebron and its towns. Then the men of Judah came to Hebron, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. When David was told that it was the men of Jabesh Gilead who had buried Saul, he sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead to say to them, "The Lord bless you for showing this kindness to Saul your master by burning him. May the Lord now show you kindness and faithfulness, and I too will show you the same favor because you have done this. Now then, be strong and brave, for Saul your master is dead, and the house of Judah has anointed me king over them." Meanwhile, Abner son of Ner, the commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbosheth son of Saul and brought him over to Mahanaim. He made him king over Gilead, Asher, and Jealous, and also over Ephraim, Benjamin, and all Israel. Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, was 40 years old when he became king over Israel, and he reigned 2 years. The house of Judah, however, followed David. The length of time David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Hebron saw them near, together with the man of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, left the men and went to Gibeon. Jehu, son of Joel, and David's men went out to meet them at the pool of Gibeon. One group sat down on one side of the pool, and one group on the other side. Then Abner said to Joab, "Let's have some of your young men get up and fight hand to hand in front of us." "All right, let them do it," Joab said. So they stood up and were counted up 12 men for Benjamin, and Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and 12 for David. Then each man grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his dagger into his opponent's side, and they fell down together. So that place in Gibeon was called Helek-Hazrom. The battle that day was very fierce, and Abner and the men of Israel were defeated by David's men. The 3 sons of Jairus were there, Joab, Asher, and Asahel. Now Asahel was fleet-footed as a wild gazelle. He chased Abner, turning neither to the right nor to the left as he pursued him. Abner looked behind him and asked, "Is that you, Asahel?" "It is," he answered. Then Abner said to him, "Turn aside to the right or to the left. Take on one of the young men and strip him of his weapons." But Asher would not stop chasing him. Again Abner warned Asahel, "Stop chasing me. Why should I strike you down? How could I look your brother Joab in the face?" But Asher refused to give up the pursuit. So Abner thrust the butt of the spear into Asher's stomach, and the spear came out through his back. He fell there and died on the spot, and every man stopped while he came to the place where Asher had fallen and died. But Joab and Asher pursued Abner, and all the sun were setting. They came to the hill of Ammah, near Giah, and the way to the wasteland of Gibeon. Then the men of Benjamin rode behind Abner. They formed themselves into a group and took them stand on the top of the hill. Abner called out of the Joab, "Must the sword deliver forever? Don't you realize that this will end in bitterness? How long before you order your men to stop pursuing their brothers?" Joab answered, "As surely as God lives, if you have not spoken, the men would have continued to pursue of the brothers until morning." So Joab blew the trumpets, and all the men came to a halt. They no longer pursued Israel, nor did they fight anymore. All that night Abner and his men marched through the Abra. They crossed the Jordan, continued through the whole Bitter, and came to Mahanaim. Then Joab returned from pursuing Abner and assembled all his men. Beside Asher, 19 of David's men were found missing. But David's men had killed 360 Benjamites and were with Abner. They took Asher and buried him in his father's tomb in Bethlehem. So Joab and his men marched all night and arrived at Hebron by daybreak. 3. The war between the house of Saul and the house of David lasted a long time. David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker. Sons were born to David in the Hebron. His firstborn was Ammon, the son of Ahmed of Jerath. His second, Caleb, the son of Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. The third, Asher, the son of Maacah, daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. The fourth, Adonai, the son of Haggith. The fifth, Shaphat, the son of Abital, and the sixth, Arthur, son of David's wife Eglah. They were born to David in Hebron. During the war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner had been strengthening his own positions into the house of Saul. Now Saul had a concubine named Risep, daughter of Aiah, and a vine named Rufus, and said Abner, "Why did you sleep with my father's concubine?" concubine. Abner was very angry because of what Isboth said, and he answered, Am I a dog's head? And Judah sighed, This very day I am loyal to the house of your father Saul and to his father and family and friends. I haven't handed you over to David. Yet now you accuse me of the offense involving the woman. May God deal with Abner, with it ever so severely, if I do not do for David what the Lord promised him on oath, and transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul, and establish David's throne over Israel and Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. Isboth did not dare to say another word of Abner, because he was afraid of him. Then Abner sent messengers on his behalf to say to David, Whose land is it? Make an agreement with me, and I will help you bring all Israel over to you. Good, said David, I will make an agreement with you. But I demand one thing of you. Do not come into my presence unless you bring Michal, daughter of Saul, when you come to see me. Then David sent messengers to Isboth, the son of Saul, demanding, Give me my wife Michal, whom I betrothed to myself, from the price of 100 Philistine foreskins. So Isboth gave orders and had her taken away from her husband Pethel, son of Lashes. Her husband, however, went with her, weeping behind her all the way to Bethlehem. Then Abner said to him, Go back home. So he went back. Abner conferred with the elders of Israel and said, For some time you have wanted to make David your king. Now do it, for the Lord promised David, By my servant David I will rescue my people Israel from the hand of Philistines and from the hand of all their enemies. Abner also spoke to Benjamin in person. Then he went to Hebron to tell David everything that Israel and the whole house of Benjamin wanted to do. When Abner, who had 20 men with him, came to David at Hebron, David prepared a feast for him and his men. Then Abner said to David, Let me go at once and assemble all Israel for my lord the king, so that they may make a compact with you, and that you may rule over all that your heart desires. So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. Just then David's men and Joab returned from a raid and brought with them a great deal of plunder. But Abner was no longer with David in Hebron, because David had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. When Joab and all the soldiers with him arrived, he was told that Abner son of Ner had come to the king, and the king had sent him away, and that he had gone in peace. So Joab went to the king and said, What have you done? Look, Abner came to you. Why did you let him go? Now he is gone. You know Abner son of Ner. He came to decide you and oversee your movements and find out everything you are doing. Joab then left David and sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the well of Shurah. But David did not know it. Now when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into the gateway, as though to speak with him privately, and there to avenge the blood of his brother Ashel. Joab stabbed him in the stomach, and he died. Later, when David heard about this, he said, I am my kingdom are forever innocent before the Lord concerning the blood of Abner son of Ner. May his blood fall upon the head of Joab and upon all the brothers' house. May Joab's house never be without someone who had a running sore or leprosy, or who leans on a crutch, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks food. Joab and his brother Ashvath murdered Abner because he had killed their brother Asher in the battle of Gibeon. And David said to Joab and all the people with him, Tear your clothes and put on a sackcloth and walk in mourning in front of Abner. King David himself walked behind the bier, and they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king wept aloud on Abner's tomb. All the people wept also. The king sang his lament for Abner. Should Abner have died as the lawless die? Your hands were not bound, your feet were not girded. You fell as one falls before wicked men. And all the people wept over him again. Then they all came and urged David to eat something while it was still day. But David took a note, saying, May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if I taste the bread or anything else before the sun sets. All the people took note and were pleased. Indeed, everything the kid did pleased them. So on that day, all the people and all Israel knew that the king had no part in the murder of Abner son of Ner. Then the king said to his men, Do you not realize that a prince and a great man has fallen in Israel this day? And today, though I am an anointed king, I am weak, and these sons of Joshua are too strong for me. May the Lord reply the evildoer according to the evil deeds.